If you do not like someone's story, write your own. Changing Narratives with Wambui Kabage.
Hi everyone, and thanks again for joining me on my YouTube channel. We will be talking today, or continuing the conversation regarding the Marriage Act, where we had talked about monogamy last time. We're going to be talking about the categories of marriage that are acknowledged in Kenya, and the second category is that of polygamy. Yes, I know, polygamy, a very touchy subject. But you know, the beautiful Marriage Act, what it did was it recognized people's realities. So it didn't really matter what certain people feel about this topic. The reality on the ground is that there are people getting married and are engaged in polygamous relationships. So what the Marriage Act did was acknowledge that and codify it, meaning putting it in law with an objective with ensuring that these marriages are recognized, right? And the two categories that are recognized are that of customary law and Islamic law. Now, what is a customary marriage? A customary marriage is really the acknowledgement that, for example, in our country, we have 44 ethnic groups that have been recognized. What does that mean? Each of these ethnic groups have different and beautiful ways of celebrating marriages. What the act did was allow the opportunity for all these beautiful ways of celebrating marriages to be acknowledged. For example, the Rurashio, the Ankaputi, the Rashio, and the Hoito, for example. All these just being examples of certain customary marriages that we as Kenyans acknowledge and do actually go ahead and celebrate. And this is very important because what happens under these categories previously was that people needed to just really go through the ceremonial part of it because it was part of their identity and who they were, and they felt that they needed that. But it wasn't acknowledged legally. There was no way of recognizing these marriages. But because Kenya has been able to do that through the Marriage Act, people can actually just celebrate those marriages and stop there. Yeah. You can stop there. That is an incredible eye-opener because who doesn't know people who did, for example, the Rurashio or the Ankaputi and decided, oh, but I must make this a recognizable marriage, and they either decided to do it through the civil marriage or through the Christian marriage. So essentially what people used to do was they do these customary marriages and then solemnize them of sorts in a recognized category of marriage. A number of problems arise when you do that. One of them is the cost implications, right? You're doing two wedding ceremonies. The beauty with the Marriage Act is it allowed these marriages to, like I said, be recognized. But how was it going to be recognized? The Act says that what you do is, once this has been celebrated, you go to the registrar and register it as a marriage. So, that's beautifully fantastic. But guys, this is a potentially polygamous marriage. So unlike the category we talked about previously, which was monogamous, it means that the man can marry not just you, but can go forth and marry as many women as his particular custom permits. So, back again to conflict. It's very important that we as people understand and begin to have these conversations. If you're going to solemnize your marriage in a certain category, what does that mean? It means in this context, your spouse, specifically your husband, can go forth and marry somebody else. Is this something that you want? Is this something that you've discussed? You must be very, very clear about that. And this is not a judgment call. Your decision to be in a polygamous relationship is that, your decision. But it must be your decision, and it must be a decision that's made by both of you. But understand, if that's your decision, then once you do the customary marriage and once you register it, you can stop there. That to me is amazing, because what it means is you can have a legitimate marriage without spending some crazy sacks of money, and you're recognized as having been married and protected by the law, which is fantastic. The second category is the Islamic marriage. Now, that category has a whole set of rules separate to its own, being the Islamic law, which now requires, is not codified, but is understood by those who practice the faith and those who officiate the marriages related to that. So for me, is to say that there will be a series that is purely related to Islamic law, because each of these or each of the areas within Islamic law are different. People celebrate it in a specific way, and also end the relationships in a specific way. So we will be discussing that. But it's suffice it to say, for this series, Islamic law permits polygamy. So under the Kenyan law, Islamic law is recognized as a valid marriage. So again, folks, those who marry under Islamic law, you do not need to now go and solemnize it under civil law to make it legal or acknowledged. That's not necessary anymore. So yes, the Kenyan law has done a beautiful thing, which is recognize these two polygamous ways of getting into a marriage and making it legal. There's something I really need to highlight, guys. If you remember, we talked about monogamy, right? And we said that 14 days after you get married, the registrar needs to take your documents and register this relationship or this marriage. With polygamy and specifically customary law, it's very important that you are aware of some little nuance here, which the law has added, which is when you go to register your customary marriage, unlike the monogamous relationship where it is the registrar who goes to register you, both you and your spouse must present themselves to the registrar to register your customary marriage. That's really important that you know that. So both of you must take the initiative to go and register your customary marriage. Once you've done that, your marriage is legally recognized in Kenya. You don't need to do anything else. I'm sure for the guys that are like, that's, pretty good, cheap, can do this, and yay with the sideline that we're in a potentially polygamous marriage. I'm gonna put a little stamp and a stop right there for you, because guess what? You can convert this marriage that is potentially polygamous into a monogamous marriage. Yeah, guys, I see your eyes bulging out. Yes, we can stop the many wives coming through in the customary marriage process. How do you do that? Well, what happens with conversion is both you and your spouse must sign a declaration stating that you have intended and you intend to enter into a monogamous relationship, despite this being a potentially polygamous marriage. This document must be signed and must be part of the registration process that you're going to go through, so that there is an acknowledgement that yes, you may have entered into a polygamous or potentially polygamous relationship, but both of you have by consent agreed to make it monogamous, right? And that's really good, because it's giving back the couple the opportunity to just really line themselves up with their expectations and their values, but at the same time retaining their cultural decision to marry under their specific culture. So folks, please just remember that that's a possibility related to customary marriage. In the Islamic context, you can also put that caveat, but that conversation is going to happen when we discuss Islamic marriages. Somebody asked me a cheeky question, and that was, yeah, but what if we are in a polygamous marriage and we want to stop the extras? So it's like you got married one woman, and then the second woman's like, yeah, I just want to be just two of us. I don't want another addition and a third and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth. Can we do the declaration? No, guys, listen, the declaration only works for the first wife. So this guy has to just have been married or cannot have been married at all for this declaration to work. So you can't get into a polygamous marriage and then say you want to limit the numbers. That can't work. The stop only happens if you are the first wife and you don't want any more. So guys, I hope this has been beneficial. Please let everybody know about these wonderful intricacies that the law has added and given you an opportunity to really have clarity on how you're going to move forward with how you solemnize your marriages. Like, share, and subscribe.